Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk to you straight. No fluff, no filler, because 2025 isn't going to wait for you to feel ready. This year is a mirror. It will only reflect back what you put into it. You owe it to you, not to your friends, not to your family, not to the world. You owe it to yourself to stop playing small, to stop procrastinating, and to stop pretending that you have time. Time is not a guarantee. It's a privilege, and every minute you waste waiting for the right moment, the perfect opportunity, or someone to come and rescue you is a minute you could have spent building something extraordinary. This is the year where you stop making excuses, the year where you stop blaming your circumstances, because you've got one job, and that's to show up every single day and get it done. No matter how tired you are, no matter how discouraged you feel, no matter how slow the progress is, you don't rise when it's convenient. You rise because it's required. Because success doesn't care about your feelings. It responds to effort, to consistency, to obsession with improvement. That's what champions understand. That's what warriors live by. If you're still waiting for motivation, you've already lost. Motivation fades, excuses grow. But discipline, that stays, that builds, that becomes armor for your mind. You don't feel like waking up early? Good. Do it anyway. You don't want to go to the gym? Good. Go anyway. You're tired of pushing, tired of grinding, tired of sacrificing? Good. That's the price. That's the tax for greatness. You think the best in the world got there by accident? No, they paid the price every single day, and so will you, if you want what they have. This year is about full accountability. That means you stop outsourcing your power. You don't need anyone to approve of your grind. You don't need applause for your hustle. You don't need recognition for your vision. You do it because it matters to you, because you made a promise to yourself, and it's time to keep it. You said you'd change. You said you'd grow. You said this year would be different. So now prove it to you. That's the only voice that matters. When you close your eyes at night, only one person knows if you gave it your all, and that's you. You owe it to yourself to become the person you've been pretending you already are. The person who doesn't hit snooze. The person who doesn't quit when it gets hard. The person who doesn't fold when things don't go their way. You owe it to yourself to become someone you can respect, because self-respect isn't built in comfort. It's built in conflict, in pressure, in the dark hours when no one's watching, and you choose to keep going anyway. No more waiting, no more hoping. Hope is not a strategy. Discipline is. Work is. Relentlessness is. You were not born average. You were not born to be forgotten. You were born to dominate. But domination requires dedication. It requires sacrifice. It requires getting up after every failure and choosing to move forward like nothing can break you, because nothing will, unless you allow it. This year is not for playing safe. It's not for hiding. It's not for excuse. This is your year to become unrecognizable, not because someone gave you permission, but because you took control, because you realized no one's coming, no one's handing you the life you dream of. That's your job, that's your mission, and no one can do it but you. So wake up, lock in, and go. You owe it to you. In 2025, you owe it to the future version of you who's counting on you to show up today, the version who will look back at this year and say, that's when everything changed. But that only happens if you stop negotiating with your excuses and start executing your responsibilities. Most important principle you must embrace in 2025 is ownership. Brutal, unflinching, absolute ownership, not just of your goals, not just of your habits, but of your entire existence. Every win, every loss, every missed opportunity, it's on you, and that's not a burden, that's freedom, that's power, because once you stop blaming the world, once you stop outsourcing your accountability, you finally get your hands back on the wheel of your life. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to remind you of the promises you made to yourself on January 1st. No one is going to do the work for you. You owe it to yourself to take command, to take ownership, and to stop treating your life like a rehearsal. This is it. This is your one shot. You have to stop walking through each day like it doesn't matter, because it does. Every morning you hit snooze. Every workout you skip, every plan you abandon because it's too hard, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. And let's be honest, if that version of you was enough, you wouldn't be listening to this. You wouldn't be chasing something bigger. So own it. Own the hard truth. Own the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Because once you own it, you can close. Ownership means you stop playing the victim in your story and start becoming the author. And authors don't wait for something to happen. They make it happen. That means stop saying, I'll try, and start saying, stop blaming your boss, your family, your childhood, your lack of support, your lack of resources. Yes, those things are real, but they're not the reason you're stuck. The reason you're stuck is because you've been letting your mind lie to you. It whispers, you've done enough. It says, you've had a hard day, take it easy. It convinces you that comfort is your reward, not your enemy. That's where ownership slaps the lie in the face. Because when you truly own your life, you don't let comfort win. You don't make excuses for your potential. You demand more. You demand everything. You tell yourself, I'm not here to survive. I'm here to dominate. You stop being reactive and become intentional. Every decision, every action, every word you speak comes from a place of purpose. You don't drift, you drive. That's what ownership looks like. When you live in ownership, you wake up with clarity. You stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? And you start asking, what must be done? Because let's be real, discipline doesn't care about your feelings. You're not always going to feel like showing up. That's why most people don't. That's why most people live lives of quiet frustration. Because they're still waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mindset, the perfect motivation. That's not ownership. That's fantasy. You take ownership by deciding that no matter how tired you are, no matter how stressed you are, no matter how many times you failed before, you're still in the fight. You still show up. You still execute. Because your future depends on it. Your family depends on it. The best version of you, the version who finally makes peace with the mirror, depends on it. Owning your life also means owning your time. You can't say you want greatness and still waste hours scrolling through nonsense, binging distractions, chasing dopamine like it's your drug. If your time is your currency, why are you spending it like it's infinite? It's not. The clock is ticking, and every minute you waste is a minute stolen from your future. You owe it to yourself to become obsessed with how you spend your time, not just busy, but productive, not just working, but progressing. That means cutting out the dead weight, the habits, the people, the patterns that keep dragging you back into mediocrity. Ownership is ruthless. It's not about being liked. It's about being honest. And honesty says, if it doesn't serve the mission, it has to go. Most people never take ownership because ownership requires pain. It means you look in the mirror and accept the brutal truth. You are the reason you are where you are. Not the economy, not your genetics, not the way you were raised. But here's the catch. If you're the reason you're stuck, you're also the solution. That's the most empowering truth you'll ever realize. It's all on you. That means no more waiting for someone to save you. No more waiting for a mentor, a handout, a break. You become your own hero. You become your own motivator. You become your own discipline. That's the mindset that builds empires. That's the mindset that wins in 2020. Look at your life right now. What are you tolerating that you know you shouldn't be? What excuses have you been rehearsing so often that they've started to feel like truth? What's the real reason you're not where you want to be? It's not because you're not capable. It's because you haven't fully committed. But that changes now. 2025 is not the year to be halfway in. It's the year to go all in. It's the year to burn the boats and destroy the escape plan. You give everything, every single day, not for applause, not for approval, but because you made a decision. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the version of you that refuses to settle, that refuses to coast, that refuses to be forgotten. You can't lead others until you lead yourself. You can't inspire others until you become the fire. Ownership isn't just about performance. It's about identity. It's about waking up every day and reminding yourself, this is who I am now. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, and your systems are built on what you own, what you repeat, what you commit to without compromise. That's how you win, and not by doing what's easy, not by doing what's convenient, but by doing what's necessary. relentlessly. If you want to win this year, there is no other way, no secret, no hack, no shortcut. It's ownership. Own your past, own your pain, own your potential. Because when you do that, you become untouchable. Nothing can stop you. Not failure, not doubt, not even fear. You walk into every room with certainty. You handle every setback with composure. You wake up every day with purpose. That's the reward of ownership. That's the power of accountability. That's what turns you from average into elite, from passive into powerful, from just existing into becoming unstoppable. In 2025, is owning everything. Then the next vital move is mastering your minds. You owe it to yourself to control the one thing that will either destroy or deliver your potential. Your thoughts. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your worst enemy, and the choice is yours. In a world full of noise, opinions, negativity, distractions, and comfort, the disciplined mind is a rare and unstoppable force. The reality is, most people have no idea what they think. They simply absorb whatever the world throws at them. But if you're going to make this year different, if you're truly going to become the version of yourself you've been talking about, it begins with mastering the battlefield of the mind, because every external achievement first starts with an internal decision. That means training your thoughts to work for you, not against you. Doubt, fear, insecurity, laziness. These are not traits, they are patterns, and patterns can be broken, but you must be intentional. You must recognize the destructive loops your brain has been running for years, maybe even decades. That voice that says, you're not ready, you're too late, you're too broken. You owe it to yourself to shut that voice down and replace it with truth. And truth says, you're capable. Truth says, you're worthy. Truth says, you were built for more. Training your mind means challenging every lie with action. It's not about fake affirmations or pretending life is perfect. No, it's about stacking small wins until those wins become who you are. It means choosing the hard thing now so you can live the powerful life later. It means telling yourself the truth, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The mind will always default to the easiest option if you don't train it to do otherwise. That's why you need discipline, routine, and clarity. When you master your mindset, you begin to anticipate obstacles rather than panic in front of them. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. You begin to build mental armor that no setback, no insult, no failure can pierce. And this is critical, because the stronger your dreams, the stronger your resistance must be. The higher you aim, the louder the enemy within becomes. But guess what? You owe it to yourself to silence that enemy daily, through work, through grit, through choosing growth, overcome. In 2025, your mindset must evolve from why me to try me. No more shrinking when things get hard, no more retreating when life punches you. You've got to become the kind of person who faces the storm head on and says, let's go. Why? Because when your mind is aligned with your mission, no force in this world can break you. You develop unshakable focus. You become immune to opinions, immune to distractions, immune to failure. You stop negotiating with weakness. That's what discipline of the mind looks like. You eliminate the need for motivation, because your standards are too high to be influenced by emotions. You don't show up when you feel like it. You show up because your identity demands it. You stop acting like change is optional. You know it's survival. You owe it to yourself not to live the same year over and over again and call it a life. The world is full of intelligent, talented, passionate people who never reach their full potential because they never get control of their mind. They drown in doubt, fear, insecurity, perfectionism, procrastination. But not you, not this year. In 2025, your breakthrough is on the other side of mental discipline. That means setting boundaries, not only with others, but with yourself. That means saying no to the thoughts that don't serve you. That means creating a new internal dialogue where your inner voice is your biggest coach, not your biggest critic. Yes, self-awareness is uncomfortable. Yes, rewiring your brain is hard, but you owe it to yourself to do the hard work, because the reward is peace, power, and purpose. Mental mastery also means staying locked in when everyone else is distracted. In a society addicted to scrolling, consuming, reacting, you stand out by being present, focused, intentional. Every second you waste comparing yourself to others is a second stolen from your purpose. You owe it to yourself to protect your energy, your attention, your mental bandwidth, like your life depends on it, because it does. If you're not thinking for yourself, someone else is doing the thinking for you. That's why most people are miserable. They're living someone else's definition of success, chasing someone else's dream, operating from someone else's belief system. But you owe it to you to break that chain, to question everything you've been told and decide what's true for you, to develop your own code and live by it without apology. This year, your mindset must not be built on trends. It must be built on truth, unshakable, unchangeable, non-negotiable truth. And that truth is this: your mind is your home. If you don't fix the foundation, it doesn't matter how much success you stack on top, it will all come crashing down. So fix it, clean it, fortify it. Start with gratitude, not as some soft habit, but as a powerful act of rebellion against negativity. Gratitude changes your perspective, and perspective is power. Start with honesty, journal your thoughts, confront your excuses, track your habits. When you see how often you lie to yourself, you'll finally understand why your life isn't where you want it to be. Then change. Don't wait, don't talk, don't overthink, just change, because the mind only respects action. And once your mind sees that you're serious, it starts to work with you, not against you. You develop a new identity, one that doesn't flinch under pressure, one that doesn't fold when it's hard, one that rises every time. Look, 2025 is either going to be another year of survival, or the year you finally snap the cycle and rise into your greatness. And that shift doesn't start on the outside, it starts in your mind. You owe it to yourself to break free from the loop of comfort, laziness, distraction, and self-doubt. That's not who you are anymore, not this year. This year you are sharp, you are focused, you are hungry, you are disciplined. You no longer let your mind wander into mediocrity. You train it, you command it, you weaponize, because a strong mind leads to a strong life, and a strong life opens the door to everything you've ever dreamed of. So today, right now, decide: no more mental junk food, no more surrendering to weakness, no more excuses about why you can't. You owe it to yourself to build a mind that's as strong as your goals, a mind that doesn't retreat when it's tired, but one that advances because it's trained, one that understands that pain is temporary, but regret is forever, one that recognizes that discipline isn't restriction, it's liberation. When your mind is right, your life gets right, and when your life gets right, you become a force the world can't ignore. That's your duty in 2025. That's your power. That's your responsibility. You owe it to you. Now that you've taken ownership and developed a bulletproof mindset, the final most critical step in making 2025 your breakthrough year is execution. Relentless, unshakable action. Because everything you've said, everything you've planned, everything you've visualized means nothing if you don't put in the work when it matters most. You owe it to yourself to move beyond dreaming and start doing. No more talking about what you want, no more waiting for the right time, no more explaining your goals to people who don't even believe in themselves. This is the year you shut up and show up, because the gap between who you are and who you want to be is only closed by action. It's not closed by intention, by motivation, or by hoping things change. It's closed by waking up every single day and attacking your mission with discipline and aggression. You have to get to a point where showing up for yourself isn't optional, it's the stand. Because when you realize you owe it to yourself, that changes everything. You stop quitting, you stop negotiating, you stop waiting for the perfect circumstances and start creating them. You stop living off potential and start producing results. This is the truth. No one is going to carry you, no one is coming to save you, and no one is going to grind for you. That's your job. And in 2025, that's exactly what you do, every single day. No breaks, no excuses, no apologies. The people who make something of their lives, something real, something meaningful, they're not smarter than you, they're not more talented than you, they just refused to keep delaying their greatness. They acted when it was hard, they moved when they were scared, they built when no one was clapping. That's the blueprint. The difference is in the execution. You don't build a legacy through ideas, you build it through discipline. You don't earn respect through words, you earn it through consistency. You don't gain freedom by waiting,
You gain it by working harder and smarter than everyone else who's playing it safe. So what are you waiting for? 2025 is not going to hand you a better life. You have to take it through effort, through sacrifice, through resilience, through relentless execution. You have to become the kind of person who doesn't need to be told what to do. You just do, not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because your goals are not negotiable, because you made a promise to yourself, and breaking that promise is no longer an option. You owe it to you to build discipline in every area of your life, not just in the gym, not just in your career, but in your health, your relationships, your thoughts, your finances, your energy, your time. You owe it to you to track your progress, to hold yourself accountable, to refuse to tolerate your own excuses. Your standards must rise, your habits must improve, your tolerance for laziness must drop to zero. Every action you take either builds the life you want or delays it. There is no neutral. Every day you don't execute, someone else who wants it more does. Every hour you waste, every rep you skip, every call you put off, it all adds up. So does every win. Every time you show up tired, every time you push past resistance, every time you get 1% better, you stack power, you build momentum, and eventually, that momentum becomes unstoppable. That's the compound effect of action. But you have to keep going when no one's watching, when no one's encouraging you, when no one believes, especially then, because greatness is forged in silence, in solitude, in sacrifice. You owe it to yourself to embrace that grind. Here's the brutal truth. Your life is not a product of your circumstances. It's a product of your choices, and your choices are either building you or breaking you. Every late night, every early morning, every decision to take the hard route when comfort is calling. Those are the moments that define who you are becoming. And if you're serious about who you want to be in 2025, then you've got to get serious about how you live in the dark, how you operate when no one's watching. That's where execution lives. That's where champions are made. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So build better systems, build habits that make quitting hard. Surround yourself with people who challenge your complacency, track your progress, audit your time, fight your weakness, celebrate your wins, but stay hungry, because no matter how far you've come, you're still not done. You haven't even scratched the surface of what you're capable of, but you'll never see it unless you act, and act again, and never stop. Execution is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Stop aiming for flawless, aim for progress, aim for discipline, aim for 1% better every day, aim to be someone your future self would thank, not regret. You owe it to yourself to stop letting emotion run the show. You're tired, so what? You're not motivated. Good. That means now is when it counts. Now is when you build real character. If you only execute when it's easy, you'll never rise. But when you learn to execute no matter what, that's when you become dangerous. That's when you tap into your true potential. That's when you stop existing and start living with purpose. And here's the final truth, the hard truth. You only get one shot at this, 1 year, 2025, one chance to do it right, one chance to prove to yourself that you weren't lying when you said you were ready to change, that you weren't bluffing when you said you had more in you, that you weren't playing when you said this was your year. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your fight. Don't let it pass. Don't let it fade. Don't let it slip. You owe it to you to rise. You owe it to you to execute. You owe it to you to become the person you were born to be. No one else can do it for you. No one else can walk your path. No one else can lift your weights, write your book, build your business, raise your standards, or fight your demons. That's your job, and it starts right now. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep talking? Or are you going to take action? Are you going to keep pretending? Or are you going to start producing? The clock is ticking. The world is watching. But more importantly, you are watching. The version of you 10 years from now is watching. And that version is either going to thank you or resent you. It's up to you. So make the decision today, right now. No more delays. No more lies. No more wasted time. Just execution. Just discipline. Just relentless, unapologetic, focused action, because you owe it to you.